Now, the first step to making sure that we're using text evidence the right way is making sure we have that text in our heads. I'm going to be reading along, looking for my friends to track with their eyes every word that I read. Way back when, British physician Edward Jenner created the first vaccine for smallpox in 1796. But the practice of using a weaker form of a disease to fight that disease already existed, just half the world away. The Chinese were the first to use a technique called virulation. That's a new word, so let's clap it out together. Get your hands ready, eyes on me. Get your hands ready, eyes on me. On the count of three, we're going to clap it out together. 1, 2, 3. Virulation. We're going to whisper into our hands on the count of three. 1, 2, 3. On the count of three, we're going to yell into the ceiling. 1, 2, 3. Virulation! Perfect. Virulation. In which a patient is given small amounts of the actual smallpox virus in an attempt to build that patient's immunity. Usually, this was done through, and this is where it gets a little gross, so bear with me. This was done by snorting the powdered scabs of smallpox victims. On the count of three, let's say ill together. 1, 2, 3. Ill! Perfect. That's a little gross because when you get smallpox or chickenpox, little scabs pop up on your skin and they're really, really itchy. Half the trouble is making sure we don't itch it. But the Chinese a long time ago, you had it before? The Chinese a long time ago figured out that if they were to pull off the scabs, dry them out, crush them up into a little powder, and have someone snort it, it would stop someone else from getting smallpox ever. Now, someone make a connection between what that gross thing we just heard and vaccines. Someone make a connection between that gross thing we just heard and vaccines. If we're snorting smallpox and it's going into our body, how is that similar to what a vaccine does? Michael, how's that similar? Vaccines go into your body just in a shot. So what that means is, when we have our smallpox way back when people snorted, they were putting a small amount of that virus in their body. So their body got to beat up on it, train against it, so when the real thing ever came, they wouldn't get sick. Now, because snorting scabs is kind of gross, we use shots now. We put a little bit of that virus in it, give you a little shot, and your body's able to beat up on that weakened virus so you don't get sick. Now, we just learned something, we just made a connection. I'm looking for someone to use my dry erase marker to underline some evidence for me. We just learned about a really, really gross fact. So I'm going to ask a question about that gross fact. What was the grossest thing about the first kind of smallpox vaccine? If you know that answer, you're looking for evidence right now on my text. You're looking for evidence right now on that text. You're getting ready in your head to go on up in front of the board and underline it for me. Who can do that for me? Calvin. You go up there and do it? There you go. Calvin's going to go up to the board and he's going to underline the grossest thing in my passage about that first smallpox vaccine. While Calvin's doing that, we're getting ready to give him either a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you think he made the right choice or you weren't too sure about his answer. Write that letter. Look. Write that letter. What's the backing mean? What do you see? That wasn't perfect yet. Let's make it perfect. Calvin, are you done? Yeah. Calvin's underlined storing the powdered scabs of smallpox victims. That was his evidence about the grossest thing the grossest thing about the first smallpox vaccine. If you believe, like Calvin believes, that that's the grossest thing, put one thumb up. If you disagree with Calvin, put one thumb down. Hands down. Calvin was correct. Everyone say on the count of 3. Oh yeah, Calvin. 1, 2, 3.
Oh yeah, Calvin.
Thank you, Calvin Garcia. Now, we're back in 3. We're tracking Mr. Wilson in 2. We're focused in 1. Today in GK, we're going to be doing something very special. I'm going to be giving you guys your own passage, and I'll be asking you guys to underline evidence for questions on the back. I'm going to put my questions on the board so everyone can see them. Then we're going to go through it together. Calvin, get us ready, please.
Show ready in 3, 2, 1, 0.
Now, on the front of my paper, you know what, I'll ask Jemima to pass it out, because Jemima's doing a great job so far today. Jemima, can you pass it out to everyone in this room? Looks like there's a guest coming in. Folks, this is Josh. On the count of 3, everyone say, hey, Josh. 1, 2, 3.
Hey, Josh.
Josh is here with me. Josh is my guest, so we're going to be very close to Josh. I'm going to, right now, Yamai is giving you a copy of our independent practice today. What my friends in this room will be doing. Carpet. What my friends today will be doing is, we'll be reading our passage. We'll be looking at the questions on the other side. And before we answer our questions, we're thinking to ourselves, before we answer our questions on the other side, we'll be looking for evidence and underlining that evidence. I want you to do something very special with your evidence when you find it. I want you to put the number of the question that it supports next to it. The number of the question it supports next to it. I'm going to help my friends out by doing number 1 with everyone. Once you get your paper, you should be tracking my words. Now, right now, if you're following my words, your desk is closed, you're tracking me forward. You don't need a pencil just yet. I see hands up for pencil. We don't need pencil up just yet. Keep on moving. Mike, put your pencil down. Pencil it down, you're tracking me. Now, for our first question, you can read the first question for me. The first question, number 1. If you're seated with a hand up, I will call on you. Omar, read number 1 for me. Where's number 1, Suda? Where's number 1? Who is that in the picture? I'm going to look in my text. I've read this already, so I'll show you where I find that information. If you're looking at me, you're going to get that answer, number 1. If you are not, you will not have it right. I know that in this picture, I see 4 people. I see 4 people. So I'm going to underline that evidence right now so everyone can see. The first name I see, Edward Jenner. Edward Jenner. Because it says right next to Edward Jenner's name, picture. So we know Edward Jenner, this gentleman right here in the picture. But I would take that answer and expand it in a full sentence. First, I'm going to put a little number 1 next to this. Because I see that that's my evidence for question number 1. Then I'm going to write for my answer on my paper is, Edward Jenner is the person in the picture. Edward Jenner is the person in the picture. That's a full sentence to answer that question. That's a really great answer. I'm going to answer 2 questions. I'm going to leave my friends to begin working on the other three questions the same way I did, by underlining the evidence and answering the question in a complete sentence. Yes, Jeffrey? Stay in your seat. Speak up. No. Anyone else? Quick question before we begin. Yes, real quick.
Can you write down the question that we just answered? Write the answer.
Yeah, I want you to underline the evidence and answer the question in complete sentences. I told you the very best answer will have the number next to the evidence. So I know if you're showing me evidence for question number 3, it'll have a 3 next to the underlined portion. We're going to work on this for the first 5 minutes with voices off. If you can do that perfectly, I will turn on my study music after 1 minute. You may begin. If you need help, raise your hand. You'll get a pencil off my part. Okay, Josh. Okay. On my card. I'm sorry. So Josh knows that when we're in first grade, voices are off when teacher says voices are off. In 3rd grade, I know we can make the same choices. William and Howard, come to the carpet and work there. You look really confused. The door to 1st grade is much closer. Come to the carpet. So many of my friends are making a really great choice right now and working hard on their problems. If you have a question, you should be raising your hand from your seat.